Been on and off the show probably for about 5 or 6 years now, right?
It does feel like a hot minute. Yeah, absolutely.
She's an old soul.
Okay,
she's been on here a long time.
Old.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
Just
We are gonna
dial
be-
back the old.
That's the head injury from yesterday, stuttering.
I called you 24 years old. You might want to flip-flop those numbers you told me. So you look at me, I'm like,
It was
why?
pretty good. That was pretty good this morning. That was a great boost on Saturday morning.
Trying to boost
Thank
you
you
up
for
a little
that.
bit. Well, thank you for coming in. Of course, an expert on selling real estate, listing your home. And if you want to list your home or get your first house, definitely want to give us a call on this show because we'll talk about first-time home buyers as we always do, John. We're going to go into some like maybe everyday things like Jess was out looking at some homes with some families this week. And we'll talk about that. Like when you go out, what did you see? What didn't work at the house? What could have been changed on it? And little things like that. We'll talk about being successful at home ownership.
Yeah, there's a million things that you can do to make your house appropriate for showings, right? Because you got to stage the home so that people can come in and see what the space looks like. What can we do here? What can we do there? When we move into a home and we live there for 15, 20 years, we get a lot of clutter, and we want to make sure that we show all of the nooks and crannies of the house so that people can see what the house can offer to another family who might do it a little bit different than we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that tends to hold my clients back when I walk through a house, they don't have a lot of creativity, I'm finding.
Yeah.
And even with the creativity, everybody wants that turnkey property, and I get it. The biggest thing that I think are holding people back are very polarizing paint colors. I have a listing currently.
Paint. We're talking about paint.
You got it.
Talking about
Isn't
practice.
that crazy? Yeah. But paint. I mean, and the larger the house, the more expensive this can be. If that's not the only thing that they're taking into consideration, but right at the front door, it stops them. If you don't have a neutral base, and I took some pictures at a home, gorgeous home in Oxford. The whole entire house was neutral, including their personal effects. And my client was like, I think this is the one. And I was
Just because of that. That's amazing.
Incredible.
So, but what drives me up the wall is when people get, like you said, they want to move into a move-in ready house. They don't have to do a thing. Okay,
right.
You're going to have to flip out a GFI maybe.
Yes.
You're going to have to paint some walls. When people move the furniture, the trim on the floorboards are going to be a little marked up. You might going to want to paint them. You redo the floors. This is just part of moving into a home. This is why we tell you not to throw all your money at the down payment, because you never know what you're going to have to get when you get into the home, what you're going to have to buy.
They're not always money pits, though. I mean, they're not always
No.
money pits.
But a house has always got to have some money
yeah.
put into it. Even if it's a perfect home, there's something that you have to put into it as soon as you move in.
Absolutely.
Our friendly producer, Eric, walked in this morning and he started talking to me, if Eric's listening over there, about hot water heater. Sure enough, Eric got a house. I'm going to think like 5 years ago, Eric.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Was it 5? Okay, so it's time for a hot water heater. And 5 years ago, the hot water heater probably installed a 40-gallon, maybe a 50-gallon, $850 to $1,000. Those times are gone.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's looking at a little heftier price than that. But it just goes to show you things that could go down on a house. He's going to go with the new hot water heater. Maybe we can help point a new plumber to him that could save a little bit of money.
The problem with a lot of these contractors is they're so busy and they're such high demand that they can charge whatever they want to get out there. And, unfortunately, there's people out there probably gouging a little bit. And we'll just make sure that we direct Eric the right way to the right type of plumber. We've got a plumber that we use at the office all the time. Great guy. He's also a firefighter. And we'll get him his number and try to get him taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, if you could say, right, Eric, if we could save somebody $200, $300 on just an install like that, that's a good way to go. And a lot of times a plumber might make a couple $100 on the actual hot water heater on the materials themselves, and then of course the labor is where we see sometimes gouging. Hey, if I have to drive all the way over to your house, I got to go and get some money. I got to get out of the truck. I got there's a lot going on nowadays. Things cost money, Jess, and we see that all over Facebook. Even a lot of the local real estate agents. Hey, I'm looking for an electrician. I'm looking for somebody that handles a slate roof. I saw the other day.
Yes. So interesting.
There's a good and bad out there. Hey, no doubt, definitely putting it out there to find out who you can get a referral from. Somebody that might know somebody who's an expert. And there's a lot of times where it's just working with making a right hand turn versus a left. This guy's so great, or this lady was so great. I found an electrician that can get some things done in my house. A handy type electrician that can do all the electrical and bring it up to code.
Right. It comes down to just we were reading an article the other day about the top 30 mortgage companies in the nation for 2024 so far, right? And of course, CMG was in there, which was so proud. But the number one thing that everybody said was the customer service. The customer service aspect of this company made it great. There's always going to be hiccups when you are doing anything, doing a new hot water heater, doing your mortgage, listing your house. There's always going to be a hiccup, but it's about how the people handle that hiccup and resolve that hiccup to make it work for everybody. And that's the number one reason why I love working with Jess, is because she is able to overcome every obstacle that ever comes up. And it's amazing.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that. It's built my business in this arena, in this place. The only reason why I do it is because I love helping and I love people. And strategically, I'm not just here to open doors. Strategically, I'm here to help you past your sale. And John, I know you are too. There's countless times that I've had clients and we've called and talked about, hey, what can we do here? Are there tools that we can help supply them for value past the sale of their home? Right. So when you go to do that big kitchen reno, or we knew that you didn't like the paint colors and this is where your money's going the first 6 months, or you need to flip out a hot water tank, you are absolutely calling us, because this is our Mecca. This is our world. This is where we live and work and do everything. We know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And things have gotten very different post-COVID. Yep. And we're turning back to that customer service, that bare minimum isn't getting things done. And I absolutely think it is translating into our industry. 100%.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
For sure. 248-539-9797. Give you 1 hour of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Harvey Freed, John Kolb handling the mortgages side this morning. Jessica Gamage over at Thrive Realty. She joins us this morning at 248-539-9797. We take all your calls. And if you ticket text us, we might get you on there, but we'd rather you call. Like to hear your lovely voice here on such a gorgeous Father's Day weekend. Yes, I'm going to be out there getting the boat cleaned up. Finally, John. I've got the trickle charges on the battery, John. This is the latest I've ever had the boat really off and running.
This is the earliest I was able to get mine in because of all the rain that we had. So it's been great. And yeah, you're missing a whole season up there with the last month. Come on, Harv.
June 15th already. Mortgage rates have been a little on the higher side. We already know that. Home prices a little lofty and the selection is slim. So the market has changed since 2020, as all markets do. Maybe the Fed will find some relief and drop these rates down. We always said, though, if the rates came down 1%, nothing's going to change. It won't probably bring more sellers to the marketplace. Sellers, because we need those homes to open up the inventory. But I think 5.5%, John, we talked about it last week. Just as we get onto the rate subject a little bit, I think 5.5 would be something a little bit more dramatic, where someone would say, you know what, I'm at 4.25, I'm at 4.5. All right, it's time for me to downsize and get the right house.
Well, the funny thing is that we're starting to see more houses come on the market, but you're seeing less buyers going after them because of the higher interest rates. Yes. And so I ran some numbers before coming in here today, just to make sense of it all, right? On a $200,000 mortgage at 6.75, you're looking at $1,297 a month, principal and interest only, right? At 5.75, it's $1,167.
Wait, give me that. For how much the loan amount?
$200,000
at 6 3/4.
$1,297 a month.
$1,297, yes.
And at 5.75, it's $1,167. All right, so it's $130 a month. That's the same. Every 10 grand that a mortgage goes up and down is roughly about $65 a month. So if you're going to wait until 5.75 comes around, the odds are that house is going to appreciate up to $220, right? By the time you want to buy it. So all of a sudden you're at the same. You just lost that ability for the lower rate to help you. So why not buy it now at 6.75? When it comes down to 5.75, 6 months, a year, who knows with this Fed? They keep talking out of both ends of their,
right.
I know why hearing that,
right? Mm-hmm. And so why wait? You can take advantage of the lower price now, and then when the rates do come down, refinance. And we have a great program, Harvey, that's called the Rate Rebound at CMG and Capital Mortgage Funding. It's an amazing program that allows people to come back, and at a fraction of the cost you can refinance, because we've got the mortgage. We service our own loans, so we can bring you back and refinance you for super, super cheap.
Yeah, it's about a third of the cost to refinance, and you can ride that ladder down instead of riding the ladder upwards, or the escalator down.
And I heard Harvey talking to a client about this the other day. How many times can you do that, Harvey?
as many times as you want in a 5-year period, John, with a 0.5% lower in rate. Again, if you think the rates are high, well, good. Maybe one day they'll come lower. Work with true professionals. We'll dive into that surely today. Yeah. Also, mix of homes on the sales side, 46.6% increase in homes priced between $200,000 and $350,000. I didn't know that, but those are that starter home area. They're saying countrywide, this is going throughout the country, there's about a 45% increase in those homes hitting the marketplace. Okay, do you see more inventory, Jess?
Within price point bands. I literally just had this conversation. I was out with a few past clients of mine last night, and they were asking how the market looks. Certain price point bands, yes, you are getting more homes on the market, more first-time home buyers. But I will also say that for my hopper, and I've always been pretty buyer heavy. I've got a lot of first-time home buyers that are just sitting. I mean, it's rare that homes come on the market for them to see. And it's very polarizing that either the house is not worth that price or they don't want to make that spend with these high interest rates at the moment.
That's what we just said.
All right, we had a good closing yesterday. We'll talk about some closings, some of the buyers out there, really truly what's going on in today's marketplace here in Southeast Michigan. 248-539-9797. Keep it here. Alrighty, welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. June 15, 2024. A little Father's Day weekend thing going on here. Special guest, Jessica Gamage, of course, from Thrive Realty. She's great to have in here. I'm Harvey Freed. John Kolb joins us. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, powered by CMG Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1820. You can find us at Capital Mortgage at 1-800-569-7283 when experience counts. Call Capital Mortgage. We offer every single program, and John Kolb's already talking about this refinance boom that's going to happen soon enough, John. I don't know when, but when it does happen, if you work with great lenders and who service their own loans like we do, we have a special program so you can ride the interest rate down a little bit, John. You talked about it, Rate Rebound, great program, but we have all sorts of different programs, including all the down payment assistance programs.
Yeah, I mean, we can do USDA, VA, the MISHDA, just all the DPA programs that are available out there. We've got a program for them. We have specific underwriters for bond loans, and it's amazing because they've been doing that for 15, 20 years, and they know all the ins and outs and how to get it through. We just closed a MISHDA guy this past week, first-time home buyer, about to have his first baby. He's so excited, and we're really happy for him. So, Donovan, congrats.
I used to like it when you gave me your MISHDA loans and I gave you my California loans. What happened to that thing? Next time, send me a postcard said we're done with that.
Right. Our relationship ended that way, Harvey.
Sorry about that. Definitely would take your calls here, 248-539-9797. Jess, I wanted to talk about real-life experiences. I was at a great closing today. And, you know, one of the things I wrote into the show, too, a little bit, old-fashioned closing, buyer on one side, seller on the other. Nowadays, they got two title companies representing both agents were there. And we talked about things about the neighborhood, about the garbage day pickup, about some of the items in the house that might be left, some of the ages. I mean, he got into it a little bit, and it was just a great, great closing. And I really miss those. So it's fun to go to a closing when there's buyers and sellers at the table. I had two of them this past week where everyone was there in the closing table. Now, listening in on the other closing that was going on in the other room and listening to the buyers ask the simplest questions. I looked in the room. There is no lender there. And I'm just, John, we can't make every closing.
Right.
But we definitely try to. And I think there's a purpose. We go, John, because the documents they're signing, we know about it. Our experience, we can go over these items, but also open up the conversation and make everyone feel really great about the purchase.
Right. I mean, everybody's trying to do their best, right? And I'm not digging on anyone. We had a closing yesterday in the office, and it was a Florida purchase, so they were closing remote.
Oh yeah,
they had a remote notary come to the office. She was fantastic, but when they were asking her about a certain document and the insurance premiums, she didn't really know that much. So I stepped in. And we said, no, this is the owner's title policy. It's paid by the seller.
Right.
It's a very important document. That's why you want it. This is the most important thing, I think, as part of a transaction to make sure you're protected from any liens that pop up that weren't yours, your responsibility. Yeah. So we just went over that. But you're right, Harv. It's one of those things where we've been doing this for such a long time. We know the ins and outs of all the documents, and we can answer the questions quickly and make sure that everybody's put at ease.
All right, we're in the summertime too, Jess. Go ahead.
Again, at that point, at the closing, I tell my clients, and maybe I need to stop saying the following, but when it comes to the closing, they're the most important person there. They are going to feel completely famous because they signed their autograph 1,000,000 times.
Right. I like
and
that.
I'm just a fixture.
Yep.
And I do know the documents. I do know when something comes up, or if it is a remote notary, or it is the title closer, this is their first time doing it, or they're going over the other title company's documents. I have the opportunity to step in and say, are you comfortable with this? Because I know my client. I've been with them for a long period of time. So while I'm technically that fixture in the room, we are there to bring that high level of customer service, to be able to show up for them the happiest day.
And we're always talking about important things like the utilities and the key exchange.
100%.
Because, right, it's just not like the olden days. Again, it seemed like back when I first started, everyone that day, they were moving in, they'd already moved out of the house. Nowadays, there's 30, 60 days worth of occupancy. There's move out days. There's when we're going to switch over the utilities. Yes. There's always a $300 escrow holdback on the water side for the seller. There's all these things.
Don't know what to do with it.
Moving parts, we call them.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So I tell my clients that day, yes, reminder on the utilities, the key exchange. Yep, you're going to get a water bill because it's connected to your house. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't transfer. All of those things are completely vital for, and not every lender can make the closing, but the agent should be there to show up.
You're organizing
It's huge.
things.
You're not done yet. And it doesn't end past that closing date either.
Quite honestly, the lender should be explaining the closing disclosure to the client before the closing, a day before, 2 days. It depends on how quickly they can get it to them, because it's important that it has time to sink in, right? Right now, last month and this month, anybody that's closing before July 1st on a new purchase, they're taking 1.5 times the tax bill. Because they don't know what the title companies don't know what the tax bill is going to be come July 1st. So they're taking 1.5 times the last year's tax bill and holding that. So the buyer's like, well, I didn't know I had to bring this much for taxes.
Yep.
Well, you knew you had to bring $1,000. They're taking $1,500 from you because in the event that it's $1,100, $1,200, they have some money in the kitty. They can pay the bill and they'll send you the rest back.
I want to go back to proration of taxes and property taxes that are due on July 1st, John. But first, let's go up to Dennis. Dennis called in this morning, and we're going to go to him. Good morning, Dennis. You got something nice to say about the guy to the left of me here, so go ahead. I'll let you do it.
Hell yeah, John. How you doing?
Good. How you doing today, Dennis?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate all the service you give me over the past year since you helped me out with my mortgage last summer.
Oh, my pleasure, buddy.
And I'm going to tell you right now, and to all the listeners out there listening to this show, these people are top-notch. They know exactly what they're doing. And I just heard that you were talking about property taxes, and you guys did me a solid because my payment only went up $20.
Wow.
Oh, good. We estimated the new escrow appropriately then. Okay, let's go with it.
Absolutely you did. And I was fearing for my life that my mortgage payment was going to go up $150, $200 when they uncapped the tax. But because of what you guys did, my payment only went up $20.
Wow. Well, that's great, Dennis. And we've got a couple different ways that we kind of handle that, or at least in my camp. And which way did we have you set some money aside to a savings account because we didn't know what it might uncap to, or we just set up the escrow account the right way to go off the get go?
You set it up taking extra money for the escrow every month.
Good.
And when it came time for the bill to be due, margin call, it only went up $20.
Awesome.
We love that.
Incredible.
That is exactly what you guys do for your customers. And I wanted to call in and say hi. Thank you for all your service. And for everybody out there to know that you guys just do a fantastic job of handling everybody's personal portfolio on what they need and preparing them for the future. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you so much for calling in, Dennis. You're the man.
He took the extra step to make the phone call. Really appreciate that. 248-539-9797. Hey, nothing wrong with a good thank you this morning. And again, there are some files that can get sticky, but you hang in there, John. You talked at the beginning of the show about it. It's just working out some stickiness that comes along, being able to move on a dime and make everything smooth and easy. And again, we get the phone call. Hey, I got a phone call this week, and I think one of the agent was in the Colorado trails. He goes, Harvey, if I break up, I'm in the mountains of Colorado, calling me about a transaction. You had to move up the closing date. The transaction's already off and running. We can do that to accommodate a seller. Things weren't going to work out on one date. We're going to move things up. She's a first responder. Happy to do that. Again, deal with real professionals that are local. And John, that's the other point. Before we go to a break, I definitely want to talk about that. Local lenders are key in today's marketplace. And the reason, Jess, is the listing agents want to call us on a Sunday and a Saturday. I am taking all calls. If you want to ask how our buyer is, they can close in 30 days. Call me on Father's Day, please.
Right. I mean, we're a company that's licensed across all 50 states, right? But, it's right. You're right that it's a lot easier to do a mortgage when it's in your backyard. And we've got great realtors that we could partner up with, like Jessica, that we can put you in touch with to make sure that you're being taken care of like we like to take care of. I always say, what would I do for John? And that's what I try to do for everybody else.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that Dennis did call in. I have worked with John personally, and he has done a brilliant job with my loans. Yes, that's plural, people. Loans, plural. But that is absolutely why I'm sitting here. And I have been in a position, and I just recently had a mutual release because things went absolutely cattywampus with an appraisal, which blew my mind. And the lender, we couldn't get a hold of the lender
weird.
Count it, one hand, guys, 5
No
days.
way.
5 calendar days. And the condition was based on what an appraiser said and the lender. And my client is full on panicking, a jumbo loan. And we were supposed to close in a week. It was sitting in, the appraisal was sitting in QC. The condition came from the lender. The appraiser wrote a weird opinion, which boggled my mind. So I'm trying to explain to my client, this absolutely isn't commonplace.
Right.
But
it can be worked out.
100%. We need to get on the phone with the lender to understand what was the process that led to this situation, that led to a condition that we cannot successfully close until this condition is satisfied. 5 days.
That's unacceptable.
The buyer's stress level, they've got kids. Everything went through the roof at that point.
People call all the time and they say, "Hey, Harvey, I don't want to bug you." I'm like, "Please bug me." My favorite
100%.
time to take a call is when I was on the beach in Jamaica. I used to go to Jamaica every winter. I'm on the beach in Jamaica walking up and down my area with a cell phone in my hand. The reception is good. Why not? Why are you not picking up your phone and communicating? And again, a lot of times when we reach out, I think I needed a signature on an escalation clause this week. It's a quick, "Hey guys, you can just click the button over and it's a DocuSign."
Right.
It's easy for the seller to click it. If the condition is done, it could all take 5 or 10 minutes. It took us 48 hours. But again, someone was out of town. We got it done in time. But the communication's the key. Just
absolutely
answer your phones. And Becky brought it up last week. It's all about the beginnings. Answer your phone, communicate it. All right, we're up against our second break here. We got tons to share with you. Gorgeous weekend here in Southeast Michigan. Come and join the show. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Yeah, we're going to give you some hardcore stuff today. That's right. 248-539-9797. Talking about purchasing homes, selling your house, getting that mortgage, refinance, cash out. Lots of things in the mortgage and real estate world that we always handle. Jessica Gamache joins us, of course, from Thrive Realty. And we're still talking about, we're just in the mix about everything. Every region in the U.S. saw gains in May. And the gains were compared to last year. Listings grew by 47% in the South, 34% in the West. And here, we only care about the Midwest. Listings are up year over year in May here, 20.5%. So just over 20% more homes on the market, Jess, in 2024. So if you're looking for that gorgeous house, whether it be in Rochester Hills or down in Flat Rock, Michigan, or way up there in the Grand Blanc area, or way up there, that's not even that far. Anywhere in the state, we'll definitely love to help you out. And of course, we are licensed in all 50 states. If you're thinking about buying that vacation home, give us a call now. And just want to report real quick, because I saw this and I reached out to one of my Florida real estate agents. I'm licensed in Florida, as John is in many states. And I reached out and I said, wait a minute here. I see this information talking about you're dropping the price and things are really slow. And they just reported back to me, hey, Harvey, you know Florida, things are really slow in the summertime. I was quite shocked, because now's the time to buy. If you're thinking about buying when it's 20 degrees outside, well, so is everybody else. So that's going to drive your price out. John, a nice window of opportunity now if you're thinking about that vacation home.
Yeah, I mean, yes. And we've got a great program where
man,
everybody
we
else...
do.
Everybody else is having to do second homes or vacation homes like an investment property. We've got a program that if you're buying this as your second home, putting, what is it, 10, 15, 15% down, I think.
15% minimum, right?
Minimum.
Or 20
and
most,
you can get just a slight bump from the normal primary rates. And it's a great program. It's helping a lot of families who want to just, build their real estate wealth and also look into retirement. And that's the Florida closing we had yesterday at the office. They're buying because they rent each and every year when they go down there for a couple months, and they're just throwing money away. It's amazing how much they're paying in rent each and every month. And now they can they have their own house down in Florida in the subdivision and community that they want to be with all their friends. And they're actually saving money.
Yeah, whether it be Florida, again, Florida's a little underwater this week, but besides that, definitely going to be a destination spot as wherever you want to buy in the country, and it could be anywhere. It could be done in the Arizona, Texas. We still have plenty of folks going out to the Carolinas and all over. I mean, Georgia, Savannah, they're just great opportunities anywhere in the United States. And John, you mentioned it, what you're avoiding by coming to Capital Mortgage Funding, you are saving money because we can service your loan, our corporation can service your loan, avoiding the loan level pricing adjustments, all these fancy words out there. That loan level pricing adjustment costs you more money on your vacation home, your investment property. Not with us. Call 1-800-LOW-RATE and save a lot of money. We'll teach you all about it. 248-539-9797 if you want to jump on our show here. Just we started off also talking about, that you got the buyer, they're approved with John. We know that they're ready to go. Their lease is month to month. And you've got 4 or 5 showings. And what's that feeling like? Because I haven't done this in a while. What's that feeling as you're walking towards the door as a professional real estate agent, and then you see like a pile of rubbish to the neighbors or something weird like that? What is that whole feeling? And then even when you see those, how do you react? And how do we open up the minds of a buyer to say, look, you can make this your own palace?
It's not about me when my clients make the choosing. They're making the choice about the house. And absolutely taking into consideration everything. I always recommend my clients drive through a neighborhood, because if it's the best looking house on the street, there's usually a reason for that.
Okay.
Especially if it's the best looking house on the street and it's priced the best on the street. Yeah. Drive through that neighborhood, take a look, so that at least as we're going through the property and they're trying to figure out, does the layout work? Does it have enough bedrooms and bathrooms for the price? Is the quality and the condition that we're seeing? And then I'm pointing out things in addition to that. Okay, what are the ages of the roof, the furnace, the hot water tank? What does the exterior look like? Took a client out to a property and it was on an acre and it's in a subdivision, but this had a very unique lot that it backed to city township land. So they had a huge property.
That's cool.
The whole house was wood, and not hardy wood, but the whole house was wood. There was a lot of deterioration. So
that's not good.
I know a lot about that, unfortunately.
We walked through the perimeter of the exterior, and then we walked in, and he's like, so far, I like everything. I said, okay, we're going to walk back around the exterior, because there was quite a bit of deterioration around the exterior of the house. They'd made some updates on the interior, but the exterior, and again, you're talking about a large lot. This house specifically is on well and septic, and no updates or anything has been done to the condition of those. The things I already know. So I'm kind of leaning on my clients to say, hey, I'm concerned about this layout, or I'm concerned about X. And then I also say, I'm concerned about X. And maybe it is a condition of their financing that we're talking about. If they're FHA, if they're VA, those types of things as we're walking through a
You
property.
said a mouthful. Go ahead, Jen.
That sounds like a perfect home for like a renovation loan.
Yeah.
You buy the house. You use a renovation loan to, we finance the renovation part on the front end.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And
then
they fix it up at the way they want. I mean, if the bones are good and it's just needs a facelift and new siding and everything like that, it can get real expensive. Like I said, I unfortunately know we have a family home that's got cedar siding, and when they were going to go put the new siding over it, the wood started to deteriorate when they were screwing the screws in. So they're like, we can't screw your siding into this old wood because
now it's a peel. They're peeling it off.
Now it's a peel off. Now it's a much bigger job. So, I mean, use a renovation loan if that home is where they want to be and the bones are good to fix it up the way they want.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of caveats to that, right? The house has to appraise enough to put all that money into it after the work is done. But we've got great experts at our office. Harvey and myself are one of them that we do those loans. And we've got CMG's got a great renovation department that walks the clients through everything. You've got your own representative from start to finish. So it's amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah. A lot of bad looking homes could really be great success stories and have some hidden equity in it. The well and septic is really scary as we're getting, 2024 now, folks. In the 80s, it wasn't bothering me when they, in the 90s, those septic fields were only 15, 20 years old. Folks, they're 40, 50 years old now. And a lot of times they have to start over. Maybe there's not room for a new septic field. It can get real ugly. So good and bad. When you buy a house like that and it's in functioning condition, just understand that if you have a short-term plan and you're thinking about selling in a couple of years, right. So the next buyer is going to have to deal with that and absorb that, this house has not a typical city sewer.
Right.
Let's just say. And again, nothing wrong with septics. You're going to find them all over the area, all over across the United States. But in some of the newer cities where everything's been developed, like this one particular house, it was sort of a diamond in the rough, an acre lot. The older folks might have lived there. The older family had lived in that town.
Exactly.
I won't say what city it was in. And it's just a little bit unique in its own ways. But hey, if you can drive some motorbikes in your backyard, you got an acre. That's sort of cool. There's some cool things about it.
Yes. Park-like setting. Yes, it was gorgeous. But there's, absolutely. There is a trade-off. And, if you've got well and septic, and I told specifically this client, I said, if you do nothing, this house is going to continue to degrade and age.
Right.
You have to maintain. And for all of my folks out there that are like, oh my gosh, Jessica, you're making me nervous. I'm just going to stay in my rental. I had a very close friend this week that was like, it's the second time my basement, which is a finished space, has flooded because, the AC their AC unit is right outside. They're detached.
Okay.
Water came into their basement. It's the second time that they've had to clean up. And it's a rental. And they're spending hours and time and energy. And I'm like, and you could be paying yourself back with home ownership. There is always going to be something. It is a trade-off, or you have to decide, what that risk looks like. And with folks like CMG, with folks like John, we absolutely can walk you through some of these options. And that is actually a great idea, the renovation loan. It is not something that has been talked about for a while, 10 years ago.
Right. Well,
it was. And it's, some of these.
You didn't talk about it because the rates were so low and you could just pop and
100%.
But now you've got to get creative and you've got to think outside the box. And I think that if somebody has something like that, where the home's going to be an amazing, even if the new siding is just $20,000 or $30,000. I mean, it's a substantial amount of money, but you could roll that into a renovation loan as part of the purchase and still come to closing with 3.5%, 3% down, 5% down.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And 3% of $20,000 is not as much as paying for it all out of pocket.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
It's nice to have a little bit of a nest egg left too, right? A lot of families, you jump everything into the house. Now you need to have a little bit of money, a little cushion for the future, things that could pop up. We talked about, again, these old-fashioned closings. Other reasons why is you learn about the garbage days. You learn about property lines, what neighbors do and what to expect from some of your neighbors. If there's an HOA, there might be information about that when you're with these old-fashioned closings. You learn about the restaurants, pets in the neighborhood. Hey, the guy down the street's got this. Be careful if he walks his... that's one dog. They, whatever. There's lots to know. Fences, common areas, and when you also at the closing was really fun. Is the seller reached out to the buyer and said, every house I've bought, I've been lucky. I've had great neighbors, and that really is awesome. And I think that plays into home ownership too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an emotional process for a buyer and a seller. A seller who's lived there a long time. They have memories, maybe their kids. And then for the buyer, they've gone through this process to evaluate the home, but they don't have any concept or perspective on what it's going to look like to actually live there. Their kids going to school there, getting picked up from the bus. Yeah, so I do think it's wonderful that we are starting to see that we're going back to the traditional way, and buyers and sellers are... It may be not traditional way, but that we are going back to where everyone is sitting together and we can have these conversations about the neighborhood, or, hey, there's a park down the street and, we have a sub HOA garage sale or food truck. Right. The fun stuff.
Food trucks every Wednesday, neighborhood garage sale coming up in August.
Yeah.
All the important stuff. All right. We got tons to share with you here. About 20 so minutes left for the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the show. That's Audio Slave. We are Capital Mortgage Funding. Harvey Freed, John Kolb. You can reach us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We have a whole staff of professionals. Becky Alley, one of them. Of course, Harry's running the shop over there. And we've got lots of professional advice and experience to help you navigate this little bit different home buying season here. And they're always different. Again, we're seeing a lot of this 2024 is really looking like 2023. Lack of inventory, multiple offers, escalation clauses. Again, this week I'm trying to track down a signature on an escalation clause. We didn't need it on this one. But there's a lot of this still going on, John. Overbidding on homes. Then you have to figure out if you are going to reach into your 401k or you're getting a gift from a family member, how much money is this going to leave you left? And just really setting up everyone for success. It takes some experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's a process, and every transaction is different. No one has the same scenario. So we're always going to have to, figure it out. And we ask a lot of questions to make sure that we can get you the answers that you need to get you to the closing table with success. I mean, it's not, hey, just turn in your pay stubs and your bank statements and we'll see you in 30 days at the closing table. It's a daily process. It's for us, and we're going to reach out a couple different times and ask for conditions. And here's this, and here's that. Oh, you gave me a bank statement. There's a $4,000 large deposit. Where'd that come from? Oh, came from grandma. Okay, we need a gift letter. And
that's a lot going on.
They pop up, and we have to make sure that we're getting things in a timely fashion. And people get frustrated, but we just sit back and we're like, hey, this is not. I don't get paid until this loan closes. I'm not making more trouble for myself just because I enjoy it. This is what we have to do to get you to the closing table. So let's work together and get it done.
Just yesterday, I got home and it's like 5:30 or something. I got a call. Hey, my dad told me to call you. And again, if you're listening, I won't say the person's name. And she started off saying, hey, look, my dad told me to call you, but I'm already pre-approved. And that was the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. She's not even close to being pre-approved. I love her dearly. I'm going to help her out. You're not pre-approved if you have a piece of paper that says you qualify for a $200,000 mortgage and you make $40,000 a year. You're not pre-approved. You're not pre-approved, especially when you tell me you already have a home, so you already have some debt. You also have a car payment. You're also the other person's not working. You also only have X amount of dollars. So I'm like, that's just a piece of paper, nothing. And we're experts. And it's weird. It still blows our mind, I guess, when families do that. So we've got to bring them back in and say, look, let's start all over here and turn this into a successful story, John, because truly I was like, at the beginning of the conversation, I was sort of like, yeah, I've heard this before. And I'm like, oh, you don't want to go there for your mortgage. And no, you really don't want to go there for your mortgage because it's a clown show already. You're not approved. You're not buying that much of a house. You don't even have any money.
Companies that are taking a application fee just to get you pre-approved, and then down the line they find out that you can't get the loan. They do a good job, but it's not the right model. It's not the right model for the people that want to be catered to and taken care of. Jessica has many, many instances where she's putting offers in for clients, and the sellers don't like the pre-approval letter that from the company, the clients. So she says, okay, I'm gonna have you reach out to my lender, one of my lenders, because she's got a bunch of great lenders that she works with. Same thing on the listing side. When you get a offer come in and it's from a company that you don't think is going to be able to get it to the closing table, you've asked me to just say, hey, John, can you talk to this person and just verify that they're going to be good to go? And I'm happily do so. Sometimes we get the transaction, sometimes we don't, but it's to make sure that the buyer and seller are going to be able to get to the closing table, because that lender that they have a pre-approval from is not reputable on doing the best job.
And a lot of them could be local banks. I'm sorry, folks, to break the bad news to you, but it's just the truth, And again, I bank at places. I won't drop the name of the bank that I deal with, but yes, not always. I always go in there and beat up the mortgage guy or lady, and it's not always pretty. Their answers are very vague, and they're just application takers. There's a difference between dealing with professionals. All right, we got some information to share with you. Let's go there. The VA issues, the Veterans Administration, they have rules on who can pay what. And, of course, the NAR settlement is making some things change, and that's what's changing. Under Secretary of Benefits, the USB authorizing in advance, so the veteran could not pay the commission. Well, now they can. They have made. VA will develop a more permanent policy, but a temporary variance inappropriate to ensure veterans remain in competitive buyers in rapidly shifting real estate market.
Okay, let's stick on this. Let's stick on this topic a little bit for a quick second. Don't listen to the news. All right, I'm going to start with that. Jessica and I talked about this the other day.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
news is out there scaring people, thinking that
I watch the news.
I know. Well, that's I'm
Different.
just saying you can watch it, just don't listen to it.
Okay.
The problem is that they're out there trying to scare everybody because they want to make titles, they want to have headlines. Everybody's already coming out saying we can figure a way around this. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac saying, okay, yes, the seller can pay for the buyer's commissions, and it's not going to go towards seller concessions or interested party contributions.
Right. Yes.
So everybody is making this work. It's not that big of a deal. This lawsuit is just another way for them to disrupt the industry a little bit, and it's not that big of a deal. We have found ways around it. If you're a buyer, do not worry about that extra 3%. There is not going to be a seller out there who is all in on selling their home who's going to say, you know what, I don't want to pay the buyer's commission anymore. If you don't want to pay the buyer's commission anymore, you're not going to get buyers and agents looking at your house.
100%.
You've just cut out 75% of the market that's going to want to walk around your house. So open your mind back to the way it was. Yes, you should probably pay the 6%. Because that real estate agent that's listing your home is going to get you extra money for those commissions to be included. They're getting you more than you would have gotten on your own.
Jess, you're going to bid that up right away and cover everything.
100%. I mean, every seller thinks that their house is the best house, and that's a wonderful perspective and position to take. Every buyer thinks that every house they walk through is overpriced. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
There's no ambiguity between this. A buyer always wants to spend less on a house. So if you don't have a third party, I'm not walking into court with a legal situation without an attorney. I have zero experience. I shouldn't be there. And that's exactly what we are attesting to. Even at the top of the hour, I'm not here to try and install my own hot water tank. I'm going to contact a plumber, and I'm going to contact someone who knows exactly what they're doing. And absolutely, it's not just about getting a client through a process. It is about that customer service. It is about supplying additional information. It is about highlighting things that are common and customary. But on the off chance that one thing doesn't, you need to be the expert. And the only way that you can sit in that room to be an expert is because all of us at this table have decades plus experience behind us to know these nuances. Yes, agreed. Do not listen to the news, or yes, take in information, but then go and seek out that trusted expert in that arena, because the Michigan market is very different than California's market. Michigan is a trailing market. We do not have the same circumstances, even as a licensed agent, as those in California. Same with a lender. So absolutely reach out to your trusted people. They're going to get you all the way to the closing table for the best bang for your buck. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Hey, you guys, we got a few minutes left, and we're taking your calls, 248-539-9797. I want to go to this call because it looks interesting. James in Detroit. I'm reading a little bit about it, but go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I got everything done. I got my credit together. I got all the money for the down payment. I was a veteran. They got all the way to the closing table and found out that I knew I owed federal taxes. I didn't know it would stop me from getting a loan.
Yeah.
You owe income taxes to the IRS, and they went ahead and did a check, and at the last minute, they kiboshed your whole transaction. Is that true?
Right. Yes.
And all you needed to do was deal with professional lenders ahead of time. And John, he could put a program together, make one payment on the IRS lien. So you got a payment program worked out with the IRS, have a payment program. And again, if you can make that payment dealing with lenders like us that can do the DTI, make sure that payment doesn't make it where you don't qualify for the mortgage, John, we can help him out.
Well, I mean, yes, we could, but it depends on the circumstance.
Got to get him back. How much do you owe, James? Yeah, how much do you owe?
So now what I did was I went on and paid. All I owe is $4,000 some now, but I owe 22.
Okay.
I was already paying on it. I just wasn't in the payment plan.
Yeah, we got to get you one.
I didn't realize that it was going to affect me getting the VA. I couldn't even get a conventional or FHA because of that.
Yeah, I mean, the government wants their money. If you're not going to pay them, then they're not going to let you do anything. I mean, we've got all these different reports that we have to run that let us know whether there's a lien against your person or not. And just like a title lien against a house, there's a lien against your person for these taxes, and you got to show that you're paying on them and or they're paid off.
So I'm thinking, when is that process supposed to occur? Because, like I said, this went on for months. I finally found the house I wanted and gave all the money and everything, the whole kit and caboodle.
Well, the problem about that, if you're getting pre-approved from a lender, right, and the federal tax lien is not on your credit report, we're not going to know right away. Once you start,
well, there is a question on the application that says, though, John.
Well, there's right, but we're talking about the pre-approval still. Okay, so we've got that. So you're out there looking. Now, when we do the application and you found a house, you're under contract. Right, Harvey's right. There's some questions on the application. Do you have any federal tax liens or the debts that you owe? Maybe you answered them without knowing, yes, no, whatever it may be. Maybe somebody missed it. Where we would have caught that a little bit sooner than a couple months down the road is that we run what's called a fraud guard report right away, right out the bat. So we would have found that out, so that we would have said, okay, hey, we got a closing here in 45 days for you. You got this federal tax lien. What do you got going on? And you're like, oh, I've been making payments whenever I can, but we need you to be on a payment plan. We need to see that payment plan. So we would have given you some time to be able to do that. That's where we would have caught it a little bit sooner than maybe your current lender. It's tough to say, and I'm not digging on your current lender, but I think, yeah. I mean, if you're still out there looking and you want to be put together with a good lender, we can help you.
That's why I love live radio, because his call and his answer to what's going on might help someone else listening. So if you're out there thinking about home ownership, again, back child support's a problem. Haven't paid the government the income tax, your taxes, that's a problem. Call real professionals and get in front of that trouble. We can fix a lot of these things. And with IRS tax liens, if you can get a payment plan put together and make one payment and you qualify, you're able to move on with your life and get that house. I can't believe the show's already over with. I was just rolling here. The coffee's just about to hit. Jessica Gamache, thanks for coming in again.
Thank you so much. I just want to make a quick shout out. My brother is a veteran. He retired from the Air Force, and he's in town for the next 2 weeks with my sister-in-law, Vanessa, my brother, Joseph, my niece, Layla, my niece, Charlie, and their dog, Ziggy. So a little shout out to you guys.
Oh,
love
Ziggy.
it.
So excited to spend time with you.
Hey, anyone serving the country here, shout out to all those guys.
Thank you for your service, brother.
Absolutely.
That's great stuff.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
Well, we'll see you next time for sure. For John Kolb and Harvey Freed, we got Pat Caputo coming up with sports. Got Tiger baseball later. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. See you next Saturday.